guys, so I got all the hardware soaked overnight in vinegar, and I used some steel wool, cleaned them up. That really breaks down all the heavy rust and corrosion and all that junk. So I wiped them down with the steel wool, and now I'm going ahead and I'm just taking some 220 and lightly just sanding all of these hardware pieces, because what this will do, I'm going to get these prepped for paint, but I'm just removing all the extra stuff that the vinegar couldn't remove. So this works pretty easy, and you just go through and hit all the, each side of the surface nicely. You don't have to sand it down to bare metal. You just want to make sure you get kind of a smooth surface and get it even. So just like right here, there's a little bit. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna keep doing that on all the other parts, and we'll check back in. All right, you guys, well, I'm pretty happy. So this is the keyhole that doesn't have a mechanism or anything in it. So I ordered yesterday on Amazon. Of course, it comes in a 5-pack, but I have these little brass kind of keyhole things. So I used my file and just ever so slightly got in here like that, and I made this hole a little bit bigger, just slightly. And it's great because these fit. So I got it in there once and it fit nice and tight. I don't necessarily want to put it in and out a bunch, but you can kind of have an idea. That's just for the aesthetic of it. So I'm going to paint one of these black when I paint my hardware over there too. And then that'll fit right in there. And I think it'll just add a nice little touch, because trying to find a mechanism or something that will fit in here, I mean, it's tough. And I don't want to do any extra drilling or cutting or anything on this if I don't have to. I did use the file just a little bit just to clean this gap up. So anyway, I'm very pleased with how that turned out. And yeah, so we're gonna go ahead. I'm gonna sand this stuff tomorrow, and also I'll paint all my hardware, and I got to get some of that wood filler too. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I'm really excited how this is gonna turn out. I think it's gonna look really cool. So please stay tuned. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow us on Instagram at upwood.industries. Check out our website, upwoodindustries.com. We have blogs up there and other past projects we've done. I have pictures up there of everything. So really excited for this. I think this is going to look really cool once it's all said and done. So have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon. All right, you guys, it's the next day, and I picked up some of this. I've used this before, that plastic wood from DAP. I went with the walnut. I think it's going to match our finish pretty well, because I am going to go dark on this. Not too dark, but I think it's going to go well once I get it on and then I sand it. Like I said before, I'm going to use, when I stain it, I'm going to go with this antique walnut poly satin finish, and it has polyurethane in it. So that'll be cool. So today, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get some filler in here. And then this stuff, they say it dries pretty quick. But I'm going to let it says to allow it to dry for 2 to 6 hours for shallow fills, and up to 36 hours. So I usually leave it about 24 hours and it's good to go. So I'm going to do that real quick. And then I was going to paint that stuff, but I'm actually going to probably do that tomorrow. It's just a little crazy. I ended up starting a little later today than I thought. So Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and fill that in and you can see how it looks better. I open this up a little more. So all you do is squeeze out. And you're gonna fill it in that gap. This. There we go. This stuff is great because it's basically like putty. And I've seen before people sometimes will use like Bondo. You can also, you know, use that, but with that you add I think you add like an accelerator to it, and in order for it to set quick, and then you got to mix them, and it's just kind of a little too much extra, I think. So with this stuff, you just put it in, you fill it. They say to overfill slightly just because you're going to sand it. And I'm planning on sanding this before I stain it. So I'm going to just mold this in. Add a little more. Just shape it over. And then easy. All right, you guys, I got that filler in there. I know it looks pretty obvious now, but once it dries, and I'm gonna sand everything, and then when I stain it, it should blend in pretty nice. That's the one problem with working with filler. They have a natural color, and then they have this walnut that's a darker brown. So I figure it'll be a little easier to blend. But that's all you do. You just fill in the space there, and let it all dry. And then once it dries, it really hardens up, and you sand it, and yeah, so we'll go from there. Hi, you guys, we're back. We're gonna sand today, but before we do that, I'm gonna go ahead and remove these water rings. And as usual, I have my mixture here of 1 tablespoon olive oil and 1 tablespoon of white distilled vinegar. You just put that in there, the two tablespoons, mix it up, then it kind of becomes this kind of syrupy consistency. So all I'm gonna do, take my rag here, dip it in, and fill in our areas of these water rings. Go there. Okay, same thing over here. Now I've done this before after sanding, and that has usually if you have a water ring, it kind of stains the finish, but the finish on this right now is pretty much gone. So I'm thinking right now, these two spots, this is gonna work. And then again, if it's still a little bit visible after we sand everything down, you can always go back and do it again after sanding. But these aren't too terrible, so I'm thinking we will only need to do this one time. So now that I have my two spots covered, I'm gonna set a timer for 5 minutes, let it soak, and then I'll come through and wipe it clean. Okay, so after sanding and cleaning that area, they're still kind of deep, but I mean, it's not horrible. So I went over this with the 120 and just lightly hit the sides with the hand sander. So this smoothed it out nice, and then I'm gonna go ahead and when I stain that, that'll be better. So I'm gonna go ahead and wipe that thing down now, and then we will continue on. Okay, so this thing's all nice and smooth. This is where I think it had paint or something on it at one point, but this is all smoothed out, and this is where the handles go. So I'm not worried about that. That'll still get stained, but I know it looks a little wonky there. But yeah, so you can see I got the finish nice and smooth. I'm gonna be going over this. I didn't want to go down to bare wood because of all the little details and the kind of cool colors with the wood grain. So that's why I didn't sand it down completely. I just wanted to smooth it out before I put stain on. So yeah, I think this is gonna look nice. Next up, real quick, I'm gonna paint the hardware. So I have our pieces here that were cleaned, and I also have our new keyhole I'm gonna put in there. I'm gonna paint that black too. I think that'll look nice. So anyway, so I'm gonna hit these with the satin black, our hinges too. I'm gonna hit these with satin black. It's over there, that has paint and primer in it. I've used it many times. You've seen it, the Rust-Oleum, that stuff is incredible. So yeah, I'm gonna just wipe these down one more time and then hit them with a quick coat. And then, yeah, we will stain tomorrow. Okay, so hardware's painted. This stuff is all painted. These sides, I'm gonna let these dry, and then I'll flip the hinges, handles, and the side little holders tomorrow. I'll paint the other sides of those, but that's it. I'm gonna let everything dry. And then as far as over here, this is all sanded and clean, and I'm gonna be staining tomorrow. So these water rings are, you know, I think once we get the stain on, it'll kind of fill it all in. They're a little more visible because it's lighter now. But yeah, I think it's gonna turn out really nice. So that was a quick little thing, sanding. And then one other note here on the filler, I smoothed this all out and it is nice. So I think once we get the stain in, I may go in and you can use a little marker to kind of fill in a little bit to make it, you know, add some of the wood grain. But that was a problem for me, you know, having that big of a gap and not being able to try to fit a piece in there, because it was such a weird, you know, part of the wood that broke. It just, the cut, or the break I should say, was very kind of rigid and rough. So trying to make something like that, it's tough when you have something that's more, you know, like a side of a table or like a brace, something that's solid and that you can really cut a piece and just fit in, that it makes it way easier. But most of the time you're not going to run into stuff like that. So anyway, I think it'll look okay. It'll turn out. But anyway, so appreciate you guys watching. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and also follow us on Instagram at upwood.industries. And also check our website out, upwoodindustries.com. We have weekly blogs there, past projects we've done, and a bunch of other things. So yeah, appreciate you watching, and I will see you tomorrow. All right, good morning, everybody. So we're gonna stain these today. I sanded everything yesterday. I let our paint dry. I flipped those over. I just re-spritzed the other side, so those are gonna dry. But yeah, so we're gonna today go ahead and I'm gonna wipe this down one more time with some paint thinner. Just make sure it's clean with no sawdust or anything. And yeah, then we're gonna go ahead and stain these. So it shouldn't be too big of a hassle. I'm gonna just wipe these down first, and then I think with this, I'm gonna go ahead, I think I'm gonna stain the bottom part first, and then I'm gonna stain this base and then work my way up. Just because in the past, I've had it where when you have these long vertical surfaces, sometimes you'll get the, you know, the runny stain, and it just kind of, I don't know, it's hard to work with. So before I do that though, I'm gonna wipe everything down and then we'll go ahead and get to staining. Guys, we're ready to stain. I'm going to be using this Bare water-based stain and polyurethane. This stuff's great. It dries quick, and it has the polyurethane in it, so at the end you don't have to put a clear coat, which is cool. It'll protect this finish. So the color is Antique Walnut. I typically like to try to use oil-based, but this water-based stuff, I tried it and I do like it. So I'm gonna open this up and we're gonna start. And then I also have a brand new clean brush. You always wanna make sure you're using a clean new brush, or clean your brushes really thoroughly. I sometimes run into the issue because of the shop. I have a lot of sawdust everywhere, and even though I keep stuff clean, I try to clean the surfaces. There's so much sawdust in here that it can kind of blow around and then contaminate the surface. So you always want to make sure you have a clean surface, and then you have a new clean brush. Because if you get sawdust in here, and then you can get little tiny pieces of sawdust under on the finish, and it will literally leave like little bumps, and it's such a hassle. So anyway, I tend to just get new brushes when I can. They're pretty cheap. They're not crazy expensive. You can get them at Harbor Freight or Amazon. I had a new one. This one's, I think, from Home Depot, but either way, you just, most of the time, keep your brushes clean. But so yeah, so I'm gonna get this ready. I'm gonna open this up and we'll start staining. All right, you guys, change of plans. This can I had is as old as it is, and you can see it's starting to pit, and I believe it's contaminated because I can't get the lid off, and you can see the rust. So I don't even want to try to mess with this. So I'm gonna scratch my original plan. We are gonna go back to the good old-fashioned gel stain. I'm gonna use a rag, it'll make it go quicker, and then I'll spray it with clear coat. So you gotta kind of adapt sometimes. So yeah, so I'm gonna get this stuff ready, and I will get it ready to get it covered, and we will be good to go. So I'm gonna just get this prepped, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I have my rag here, clean rag, and I got my stain, and we are gonna start staining. All right, you guys, so got our first coat on. Happy with how it looks. This is the same, this is how I had it in my head. Like I said, I wanted to kind of keep the rustic look of it and the antique look of it. I didn't want to go crazy with the color. And that hickory gel stain, I gotta tell you, it is the best stuff. I love it. It's so easy to work with, and it goes on so nicely, and it's just, oh, it's the best stuff. So they have other colors. I just went with hickory because I had it, and I think the darker color, slightly darker color with the black handles and stuff is going to make it look really cool. So and it filled in nice with our filler, so that's gonna fill in. I may go back with like a little marker or something to kind of add in some little wood grain textures, but overall I'm very happy. So I'm gonna let this whole thing dry, and then I may get a second coat on this. I'm gonna see, because it was fairly, the old finish was thin, at least on the top, but on the sides it wasn't that bad, and I didn't take all of it off. So we'll see. I'm gonna see how it looks after it dries. I may do a second coat. I may keep it as is and just spray it with a clear. But yeah, so there you have it. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the next episode. Have a great day. All right, good morning, everybody. So our first coat dried. Our hardware here is dry too. It turned out really nice, actually. And so, you know, it looks pretty darn good. I put the keyhole little insert in there when I got here. That thing just pops in, you can see. This is all from before. This is, I don't know what they put on here, but it's on the inside, and I'm gonna leave the inside be because it is solid, and I don't want to go sanding. I think it kind of adds to the antiqueness of it, so I'm not going to touch anything on the inside. But on the outside, it looks pretty darn good, I think. I think it just kind of richened the color up, made it pop a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hit this with a clear coat. I'm going to spray it down, this and our top over there. And then, yeah, once the clear coat's dry, probably tomorrow I'll reassemble it and it'll be all ready to go. But yeah, I think it turned out pretty nice. So, and our filler here doesn't look too bad. You know, I had to put a little more in there than I wanted to, but you know, it's okay. It's, you know, it adds to the character of it, I like to say. So anyway, I'm going to hit this with a quick clear coat, and then, yeah, tomorrow I'll let it dry. And then tomorrow, once it is ready to go, I'll reassemble it. So we'll do that real quick. All right, clear coat's on. I did a very nice light coat. Don't want to overdo it, just to kind of fog the whole thing. So yeah, we're gonna let all this stuff dry, and then tomorrow we will reassemble, and I think it's gonna look really, really good. All right, you guys, we are ready to assemble today. Everything is sprayed and dry. Our clear coat on here is nice and dry. So yeah, I think it's gonna look pretty good. I think first things first, well, I put our keyhole in there the other day. I think that looks kind of cool. I think I'm gonna get the hinges on here. I'll get those screwed on, and then I'll get the lid put on. I'm debating. That may or may not be a good plan. I'm gonna kind of see what happens, but either way, we're gonna get this thing assembled, and yeah, looking forward to it. I think it's gonna look really nice. Okay guys, I figured out my issue. I was having trouble getting this lined up, but what I'm gonna do instead of, rather than having the hinges on here first, I'm gonna put the hinges on the lid. I'll do the same thing over here. And then once I have that, I can line it up and hold it and then get it set by hand. So I already got one of the hinges on. I'm gonna do the same thing over here. And then we'll go ahead and get this thing set. Okay guys, I finally got this darn lid on there. Yeah, so it's on there way solid, it's tight, and it closes nice and easy. Okay, so I have my little shackle thing and our handle, and these just slip in like that, and they'll go right over our mounting holes like so. So we'll go ahead and do that next. All right, so here's a little quick tip for you guys. Sometimes working with older hardware that you can't find replacements for, sometimes you get some rust, and I cleaned these and painted them, but there's still a little bit of rust, and that buildup is hard to get into the pre-drilled holes. So a little quick tip, you take your screw, take a little bit of WD-40, and you just hit the threads. Don't need much, but just a bit on there. And then go in by hand. You take your screwdriver, and go in. It goes in nice and smooth, which is amazing. You don't always have to do this. This is just with older hardware that's brittle and can kind of be hard to work with. So I went ahead and hit the other ones, and so I have the last one here. Same thing. Just a dab of it on the threads, and then you get it lined up, and put in there. So that's the tough part. I'm not sure what type of screws these are. And because this thing was built as, like I said, I think it's from the 20s. And so trying to find hardware that looks like this, that have these round-headed, I mean, you can find round-head screws, no problem, but just this length and this type of thread is kind of tough. I was looking and I couldn't find them. So anyway, that's a nice, quick little tip. And yeah, you'll be able to reuse your old hardware and you know, make sure it's in there nice and tight. Don't have to go too tight on this stuff. You just want to snug everything up. Cool. So there you have it. There's one handle now on there. And we'll do the other one. All right, you guys, there it is in all of its glory. Lid opens nicely and everything's nice and tight. It closes nice and tight too. Our handles, they turned out well. The hardware too, I was worried about that, but you know, a little WD-40 and hand tools can get you through a lot of any speed bumps you hit working with old stuff. So thanks again for watching. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. And don't forget to check us out on Instagram at upwood.industries. Also check out our website, upwoodindustries.com. On there we have our past projects that we've done, and I try to do a weekly blog that I post up there regarding furniture restoration, woodworking, fun topics like that, all the kind of ins and outs and behind the scenes stuff of doing this type of work. So we really appreciate it, and stay tuned because we have a big announcement coming up shortly, and you guys aren't going to want to miss it. So thanks again for watching, and I hope you guys have a great day.